Welcome to the radio broadcast of Bethesda Household of Prayer, where Elder Donald R. Jones is pastor. We want you to open your hearts and your minds as you feed on God's Word. Brought to you today by Pastor Donald R. Jones. Here is Pastor Jones.
30. For this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. What a wonderful, magnificent, beautiful day. When you woke up this morning and you can see, hear, feel, smell, touch, you had use of all your faculties. That's a gift from God. You don't let anyone take it away from you. And more importantly, you don't give it away. It's so good to be found in the house of the Lord. God saw fit to put you on this day plan today, where you can be amongst believers praising and worshiping and giving God praise and grace in the house of the Lord. We're going to find ourselves this morning looking at what's the difference between a stop sign and a quit sign in life. A stop sign and a quit sign in life. You ever found yourself in a situation where you just felt like quitting? Just wanted to give up. You just said to yourself, I am tired of these setbacks. I am tired of these stumbling blocks. I am tired of not progressing. I just want to quit. I just want to give everything up. I want to give this job up. I want to give this business up. I want to give this marriage up. I want to drop this class. I just want to just drop out. You ever found yourself in that situation where you said to yourself, I'm just going to throw in the towel? That's it for me. We want to look at that this morning, and it's so important because, see, life is going to throw us stumbling blocks. Life is going to throw us setbacks. But we have to know the difference between a stop sign and a quit sign. You see, a stop sign signifies a temporary pause. A stop sign is saying to you and me, stop, pause, look, see, and then go forward. That's what a stop sign is designed to do. But so often in life, we allow a stop sign to become a quit sign. You know, I can recall years ago when I was just getting started in my business career, a friend of mine approached me about selling stocks and bonds and mutual funds and things of that nature. And I was enthusiastic about it, man. He had been doing it for a while. He had convinced me he was making all kind of money. Young, dumb, stupid, fall for anything. And I remember I had to go through this 3-month preparation to take this Series 7 test. And I was always good at taking tests. And I normally would prepare. And I prepared for taking this test. And I end up failing that test. And you talk about being shocked. You talked about being dumbfounded. You talk about saying to myself, I must be crazy. I spent 3 months dealing with this nonsense that Darryl has me dealing with. And I failed that test. And then I stopped and I thought about the fact that the professor said something that I sort of didn't remember. He said, 75% of you guys are going to fail this test the first time. And being a smart, you know what, I said to myself, I ain't paying no attention to that professor. And I tell you what, that test was a monster. The most difficult test that I've ever taken, I failed it. And I said, I'm finished. I am through. I'm finished with it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And I remember Darryl telling me, he said, hey, let me ask you a question, bro. He said, are you a winner or a quitter? My first inclination was just haul off and punch him in his mouth. First of all, for getting me involved in that nonsense, and second, to come and confront me, asking me a question, am I a winner or a quitter? But when he asked me that question, he said, Cap, you remember, Coach taught us that winners never quit and quitters never win. And on that particular day, I needed to hear that, because what happens is that it reinvigorated something in me that said, look, I am not a quitter. I'm not going to allow this stop sign to turn into a quit sign. And that's why it's so important for you and I, as we travel and as we look at things in life, to realize a quit sign is anything in life that stops you from fulfilling your God-chosen destiny. A quit sign is anything in life that stops you from fulfilling your God-chosen destiny. Anything that gets in the way of what God has for you is a quit sign. No matter what it is. If it precludes you from doing what God has destined you to do, it's a quit sign. It is a quit sign. And life going to throw us stop signs that we allow to become quit signs all the time. And I don't want you to just believe that there are not going to be times when you're not going to have setbacks. But it's how you perceive the setback that determine if it's a stop sign or if it's a quit sign. See, anybody can throw in the towel. Anybody can say, I'm finished with this marriage. I'm finished with this business. I'm finished with this job. I'm finished with this class. Anybody can say, I want to give up. But when you look at the annals of history, you have never read the biography of a person who quit. Never. And that's why it's so important for you and I, as we look and as we take these punches, and as we realize and we come to the realization that each and every day we're going to run into stumbling blocks, we're going to run into things that's going to set us back. And that's when character becomes important. You see, character is key. Character determines if you're going to let something be a quit sign or a stop sign. Character is what you're made of. It's your integrity. It's your essence. It's your being. It's your honor. It's your humility. It's those things inside of you that drive you. When Darryl asked me that question, he said, hey, Head, are you going to be a quitter or a winner? Everything inside of me that I've ever been taught, that I've ever learned, all of those traits inside of me that taught me as a little boy playing in the playground when Coach had us running 5 miles and running up the levee 50 times and saying, look, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. All those things came out when he told me that. And what other people thought, and of course I was embarrassed failing the test because I had a reputation of being able to just get things done. You see, character is what you know that's in the inside of you. Reputation is what people think about you. And oftentimes, what determines if something is a stop sign or a quit sign is how we perceive it. If we're more concerned about what other people think about us, our reputation, we'll oftentimes let a stop sign become a quit sign. If we are more concerned about what God thinks about us and what we think about ourselves, then we're going to let that stop sign be a temporary setback. And that's why character is so important. Character counts. When those 12 spies, when Moses sent those 12 spies into Canaan to look at the promised land, 10 of those jokers came back and said, no way. We want everything in there, but we don't have the character. We don't have the intestinal fortitude. We don't have the will. We don't have the desire to get what God promised us to have. We just want to stop. We want to quit. We want to give up. But Caleb and Joshua said no. That integrity, that dignity, that honor, that faith, that belief, that self-awareness, all those things came up and they told Moses, we can do it. We can do it. God promised it to us and we can do it. And that's where character comes in. Character comes in because what character is going to do, character is going to show your perseverance. Character is going to show your commitment to getting it done. Character shows perseverance. Character for you and I is going to tell me I can redefine these circumstances. You see, what Joshua and Caleb did was they redefined the circumstances. They didn't allow the circumstances to define them. What character and perseverance says to you and I, I'm going to redefine this situation. I'm going to redefine this situation according to my character, my essence, my being. What character and perseverance says to you and I is that I am going to be a winner. I am going to redefine these things. And what it does for you and I, it allows us to model a behavior that not only impacts us, but it impacts our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews. It impacts the whole community. Character and perseverance makes a difference. You want a legacy? Have character and perseverance. You want something to outlive you? Have character and perseverance. Because people will say of you what they said with Joshua and Caleb. They trusted in the Lord. They believed in themselves. Character and perseverance make a difference. I like to watch the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, stuff like that. I even watch this Curiosity Channel now. And sometimes I watch the nonsensical stuff too. I don't want you to think I just watch the History Channel, Discovery Channel, and Curiosity. I watch some of the stuff that don't make no sense too every now and then. But I love to watch this, and I've been watching this series over and over, and my wife will come in there and she say, "Oh, you're watching that again, huh?" As a matter of fact, she made a little kid she was watching the other day. And I've been watching it, and it's called The Food That Built America. It's on the History Channel. I recommend it to you. And it's a series about how America fed the world. How God laid the foundations for America to feed the world. America, for the last 70 years, has fed the world. And it talks about how all of this happened. And I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just so enamored by it. I'm so amazed by it. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know anything about Marjorie Post. I didn't understand how a young lady in a time when women didn't make those kind of decisions, when women weren't in those positions, she was able to build a multinational corporation from one company because she wouldn't quit. When they put those stop signs up and they say, as a woman, you can't make these decisions, she stood up and said, yes, I can. I'm not going to let you be a stumbling block. And history credited her with having the first multinational conglomerate, bringing many companies together. I watched Charles Burnside. And I always wonder, well, how did we get frozen food? And even though he lost his fortune, and even though he was living among the Eskimos, he didn't allow his stop sign to become a quit sign. He figured out how he could use what was available to him to come back and make it possible for us to buy frozen food in the supermarket. You see, that's where perseverance and character comes in. You don't allow a stop sign to become a quit sign. It's easy in the world. The easiest thing in the world is to get depressed. When you see that stop sign, the easiest thing in the world is to say, I'm giving up. I'm throwing in the towel. That's it for me. And that's what Satan wants you to do. Satan doesn't want you to use your God-given talents to fulfill your God-given destiny. He wants you to throw in the towel. He wants you to say, I'm finished. He wants you to say, time out. He wants you to give up on your marriage. He wants you to give up on your children. He wants you to give up on your job. He wants you to give up on your business. He wants you to just give up on everything so he can play havoc in your life. Because you know why? He wants God to say, I'm sorry, I created man. And he's been doing that for the longest. And that's why I want you to go to the book of Job. See, we think things just started with us. It amazes me how we just think every setback, everything that happens, we're the only person it ever happened to. We're the only person that ever got sick. We're the only person to lose a loved one. We're the only person to lose a friend. We're the only person our loved ones turn on us. We're the only person our friends turn on us. We're the only person that had a setback. You're not the only person, and I'm not the only person. The Bible is replete with examples of people who had setbacks, who had mishaps, but they didn't allow those setbacks, they didn't allow those mishaps to become quit signs in their life. And that's what you and I have to pay very close attention to, because what happens is that life is going to be full of setbacks. Life is going to be full of problems. And what we have to ask ourselves when we run into one of these problems, am I going to allow this problem to help me to develop, or I'm going to let it discourage me? Am I going to let it be a test to build me up, or a hindrance to tear me down? And the question that we need to ask ourselves, we need to stop asking ourselves, how can I get out of this? Well, we need to start asking ourselves, what can I get out of this? You see, when you ask yourself that question, you're paving the way to go farther. You remember we talked about the people like say you got to think out of the box, and we said, no, you can't think out of the box. You got to get the Hades out of that box. You got to start thinking a whole nother way. So you have to ask yourself, what can I get out of this? And you see, when you ask yourself, what can I get out of this, then you leapfrogging into a whole new zone. You're not in the pity world. You're not in the feeling sorry for yourself world. You have taken a leap of faith into a whole nother sphere. And that's why Job is so important. And that's why this story of Job teaches us perseverance. The story of Job teaches us character. The story of Job teaches us integrity. The story of Job teaches us that things are going to happen that you have no control over. It's how you handle those things that determines your character. Because our character, no matter how young you are, how old you are, our characters are constantly being shaped and reshaped and molded. And that's why this story of Job is so significant, because let's just look at it. Job was a wealthy man. Job 1 and 3. Job was a great man. Job was a man that loved God. Well, Pastor, how can you say that? God's words say that. Let's look at it. Job chapter 1, verse 3. There was a man in Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil. That's how I can say that. That's how I can say that. It goes on to talk about his family, 7 daughters, 7 sons, and 3 daughters. Also, he has possessions with 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. So this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. That's how I can say Job was a wealthy man. That's how I can say Job was a great man. That's how I can say Job was a man that loved God. And Job epitomizes the best that we can be. Job epitomizes that. Because he shunned evil. See, God is looking for you and me to be perfect, because only God is perfect. But he is looking for us to shun evil. Because when we embrace evil, we embrace Satan. When you plot and plan to hurt other people, you're embracing evil. When you plot and plan to demean other people, you're embracing evil. When you turn unnecessarily on loved ones, you're embracing evil. And Job did all the opposite of those things. Let's continue to look at that story. Look at verse 6. And you're somewhat familiar with it. So, God called all the angels and talked to them in verse number 6. And he asked Satan, where has he been going? And Satan from him going to and from on the earth, walking backwards and forward on there. So what does that tell you? That Satan is present. He's not everywhere simultaneously, but he's going to and fro. And he's searching for you, and he's searching for me, because he's always trying to make a point. He's always trying to make God say, the worst thing I did was create man. That's what his goal is. And oftentimes we play right into it. Watch this. Then God said to Satan, verse 8, have you considered my servant Job? Watch this. There is none, pay attention to that, like him on earth. So God said, of all the people on earth, there's nobody like Job. He's blameless, upright, he fears me, and he shuns evil. So God said, there ain't nobody like Job. And Satan, the diabolical, trying to be manipulated he is, look what he says in verse 9. Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, around all that he has on every side? Have you not, watch this, blessed the work of his hands, and the possessions have increased in the land? So Satan's saying, God, look, Job is like this because of all the prosperity you have given him. That's why he's like that. Ask yourself a question. Are you the way you are because of all the prosperity that God has given you? That's where character comes in. You're going to see it. So Satan says, you talking about Job as upright? You talking about Job as blameless? You pull that hedge from around him and you take that prosperity away from him and you watch what he does. Have you ever seen a person who lost their child, lost their business, lost their families? One day they were like praising the Lord, worshiping the Lord, and the next day you didn't even recognize that person. When that tragedy happens, you see, you can be up on the top of the world one day and down in the gutter the next. And that's what we don't oftentimes understand as believers, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in heaven. We don't know what's going on in the universe. And so look what God tells him. In verse 11, but now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, all this prosperity that Job has. If you think that Job has the character and integrity that he has because of his prosperity, then stretch out your hand and take it, but just don't touch him. Take it. You want to take the things? You want to take the reputation? But don't touch him. And I'm going to allow you to test his character. I don't mind you testing his character. As a matter of fact, I want you to test his character. I want you to see what his character is all about. I want everybody from eon to eon to be able to see Job's character and understand that it's character that counts. Character will make you or character will break you. And God says, it's all right. Take his possessions. Test his character. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all, not some, pay attention to that. All that he have is yours. Power. Only do not lay your hand on his person. No, you can't touch his soul. So overnight, Job is the wealthiest, richest, wisest man in the East. The next day, he's broke, busted, and can't be trusted. He loses all of his donkeys, all of his oxen, all of his sheep. He loses his children, all of them in a tornado. Lightning comes down and strikes and kills all of his sheep and his shepherds. Tornado comes and crashes the house on his kids, all 10 of them, and kills them. As a matter of fact, he loses his health. He develops boils and sores and ulcers, and he loses his appetite. He develops diarrhea. He has breathing difficulties. He has insomnia. You think you have problems? Ulcers and sores and breathing problems, insomnia. His whole world is turned upside down. God says it's not about his prosperity. God says he understands the difference between a stop sign and a quit sign. He had more problems than you and I can ever begin to conceive. And at this point, most people will give up on themselves. They will not only give up on themselves, they will give up on God, and they will curse God. You know people in your life that grew up with you, that grew up with you in the faith, and when things went sour for them and things went bad, the first person they found fault with was Christ. How in the world can God allow this to happen to me? I read my Bible. I go to Sunday school. I go to Bible study. I pay my tithes. I pay my offerings. I help widows. I help people in distress. I give from my heart. How in the world can God allow something like this to happen to me? Curse God. I don't believe in God. I have no faith. Yes. Character counts. Character counts. And God is saying to Satan, and God is saying to you and me, character counts. A stop sign is only a temporary pause for you to develop your character. Your problems are only character developers. Your problems only take you to a whole nother level. And God is saying to you and I, like he said to Joshua, that tough times will never last, but tough people do. That old boy Joshua was a tough fella, man. And when he ran into those tough times, they went behind him, but he continued to go. And God is telling you and I, in the story of Job, he's teaching us some critical lessons. He's telling you and I that we all will face problems that will make us want to quit. We're going to face problems that are going to make us want to quit. Believe me, there are going to be things that are going to be like body blows to you. Things that are going to hit you so hard, they're going to make you think and wish that you were dead. And that's when character counts. You see, there are husbands who treat their wives with disrespect simply because their wives don't measure up to their perception of a perfect wife. There are wives who deprive their husbands of sexuality because they don't think their husbands provide appropriately for them. Yes. There are people whose jobs are no longer challenging to them and no longer rewarding to them. And they stay on those jobs. And there are people who associates no longer, I'm going somewhere with this, who associates no longer believe in them. And they feel hurt by that. There are all of these kind of setbacks, be it in a marriage, be it in a job, be it in a relationship, will want you to throw in the towel. Can you imagine a situation where a wife don't want to touch a husband and a husband don't want to touch a wife? For whatever the reasons are. And there are myriad of reasons. And if you want to see about it, there's a book called Your Needs, Her Needs. Read it. You should read it. Her needs, his needs. Thank you. Women know when they know it, boy. And so, and you're going to have all kind of things that are going to happen in your life that are going to tell you, look, I want to throw in the towel. The easiest thing in the world is to throw in the towel.
Yes, Lord.
The easiest thing in the world, don't you think when all of Job's servants and his sheep and his cattle and his children, and he developed all that disease, and can you imagine not being able to sleep? Can you imagine all this going in your life and not being able to sleep? Do you know what Job did? Job actually went in the dump and got in the ashes to try to relieve some of the pain and some of the distress. He lost his whole family. He lost his fortune. He lost his peace. He lost his health. To you and me, that would be devastating. If just one of those 4 things happened to us, we would want to throw in the towel. We would want to quit. But God tells you and I, and there's a reason for this story, and I want you to see it. And as I was re-looking at this last night, just analyzing and looking at another pastor's version of it, something stuck out that I really had never seen before. You see, when all of these things are happening to you, when all of these setbacks are happening, when all of these stumbling blocks are manifesting itself in your life, when all of this hurt is happening in your life, I want you to go to verse number 20. And I want you to see something that we normally miss. Man, Job is a great story. And we get into it, man, and we see all aspects of it. But every now and then, we're going to miss something. And the Holy Spirit is going to reveal it to us. And it's about character and perseverance. It's about not stopping, not quitting when you run into the stop sign. Because you're going to have stop signs in your life. You're going to have pauses in your life. And that stop sign is only designed for you to stop and then clear the way and go forward. Watch this. Verse 20. After everything that had happened to Job, I want you to see what he did. And this is very significant for you and me. At this, verse 20, Job got up. What did he do? Job got up. You see, when you have those setbacks, when you have those hurts, when you have those things that devastate you, when you have those things that want to make you just lay in the bed and pull the cover over your head and close the world out, you got to get up. Amen. You got to get up, because that is what Satan wants you to do. He wants you to be alone. He wants to isolate you. And when he isolates you, he's going to play havoc in your mind. Your husband don't love you. Your wife don't love you. Your children don't love you. This one's taking advantage of you. That one's taking advantage of you. This one don't understand you. This one don't appreciate you. All those things going to work havoc in your head. And God is telling you and I to do what Job is. Get up. And watch what it says. And Job tore his robe and shaved his head. What Job did, he got up and he prepared himself. He said, this is a stop sign. This is not a quit sign. This is just a pause. This is just telling me there's things out there I need to pause. I need to stop. I need to look right. I need to look left. And then I need to make sure that the coast is clear, because I am not going to not fulfill my God-fulfilled destiny. I'm not going to let a quit sign stop me from fulfilling my God-designed destiny. And that's what the quit sign is designed to do. So that's why it's so important for you and I to get up, shave our head, put our robe on, and then I want you to see something even greater. Then he fell down to the ground and did what? Worship. You see, when things are going tough, when things are not going right in your life, you need to get up. You need to prepare yourself. And you need to trust in the Lord. And when you trust in the Lord, what you're going to do? You're going to worship the Lord. And that that quit sign, your perspective changes and say, this is just a stop sign. God is just allowing this to happen in my life to prepare me for something greater. You've been working a job for 25 years. You hate that job. And God opens up a door for you to go to another job. But instead of embracing that blessing, you focus on that job. Let it go. Look at the glass as being half full instead of half empty. Say to yourself, God is a God of blessing. God is a God that's opening up doors for me. Maybe I was so depressed. Maybe I was always angry. Maybe I was always upset. Maybe I always felt underutilized. Maybe I felt that I was always taken advantage of. And maybe God is just saying to me, I need to let go. There's nothing wrong with letting go and moving forward. Look at Job. Look what Job says for you and I. Job 20. And at this, Job got up. Powerful words. Remember that. Job got up and tore his robe and shed his head. Then he fell to the ground and worshiped. Now, what's verse 21? This is so key. See, this deals with character. Because even though Job lost everything, his character never changed. His reputation was impacted. Of course, do you imagine if all this happened to you and it was on CNN and MSNBC and CBS and all, do you realize that the whole world would say that you did something wrong? That maybe you sinned against God? That you got some fundamental problems? Everybody would think that you did something. Nobody would think that, you're not no upright, blameless person. You not know why. You did something for all this to happen. Have you ever had a situation in your life where people that you never dreamed would do this will come and find fault with you because of something that happened that you had nothing to do with? Watch this. Job displays character perseverance for you and I. Look what he says. Profound words. He says, things don't mean nothing to me. Things don't mean nothing to me. That iPad ain't that significant. That dress ain't that significant. That car ain't that significant. That house ain't that significant. None of these things are as important as my character and my relationship with Jesus Christ. Watch what Job says. And this is something that should resonate in our head. He said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. I didn't bring anything into this world. I ain't going to take nothing out. How did you come into this world?
I came
naked. You didn't come in this world, out, doctor, smack you. Ask your parents. You came in this world naked. And Job said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. And watch this. All that stuff that Satan felt that if I take this from him, I'll break him. If I take all of his sheep, take all of his cattle, if I take all of his servants, if even take his children, I'm going to break his spirit. I'm going to break his character. Watch this. Watch what Job says. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. Think about that. You don't own nothing in this universe. Everything in this universe, God has bequeathed it to you for your temporary use. And when you no longer reside in the physical body and your spirit goes back home to the Lord, somebody else is going to use it. So don't get caught on the things, because that is what Satan wants you and I to do. And what happens is that Job has the right perspective. Job stops, and he doesn't allow his stop sign to become a quit sign, and he doesn't allow his blessings to be set back. Oftentimes we allow our blessings to be hindered because, unlike Job, you and I start to feel sorry for ourselves. We start to pity ourselves. We say to ourselves, I'm going to give up. Don't do that. The first step in recovery is to get up and say to yourself, I am a child of God. I am in a boxing match that is fixed, and the victory is mine as a child of God, and I am not going to give up. Do you know that Ali Frazier fight the Thriller in Manila? If you pay attention and watch that fight and watch the film, do you know both Ali and Frazier didn't want to get up off of that stool? And Ali ended up getting off of that stool. See, the object of the game is to get up and fight another round. If you get up to fight the other round, the victory is yours. And God's going to tell you and I Stop listening to this one. Stop listening to that one. Because remember what Job's friends came and told him, what I told you earlier? You had to do something wrong. You had to sin against God. All these things wouldn't be happening to you. There are going to be times when your friends are going to come to you and find fault with you, and you are not at fault. There are going to be times when your friends are going to come criticize you for something you have nothing to do with. And they are trying to turn your stop sign into a quit sign by magnifying it and making it bigger than what it is. There are going to be times, and we're coming to a close, there are going to be times when even loved ones are going to come to you and try to turn your stop sign into a quit sign. Someone close to you. But your perspective is what counts. You have to see things as how God wants you to see them to fulfill your destiny. Go to Job chapter 2, and we're coming to a close, verse 9 and 10. There are going to be times when loved ones are going to come to you and try to turn your stop signs into a quit sign. And it's going to hurt. But your perspective and what's inside of you, your character, your integrity. You see, as long as you don't let anyone strip you of your integrity, you're going to be okay. That's what Satan wants to do. He wants to belittle you. He wants to embarrass you. He wants to strip you of your integrity. And sometimes he'll send well-meaning loved ones, and they'll be willing aids. Watch this. This man's going through all kind of stuff. And you would think his wife would be come and say, I love you, honey. I'm going to get some Neosporin, put on your sores. I'm going to get some alcohol. It might burn you a little bit, but it's going to kill some of the germs. And I love you, baby. Do you want something to eat? You haven't had in a couple of days. You think that's what she would say. But look what she says. His wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? You still want to have this character? You still want to have this relationship with God? You still want to maintain your integrity? We've lost everything. Everything is gone. Are you insane? What's wrong with you, man? Curse God and die. You and your God. Now just imagine what Job felt. Now we've been talking about perseverance and character. Loved ones sometimes, Satan will use loved ones to penetrate areas that other people cannot. Satan will use loved ones sometimes to penetrate areas that others cannot. Who can get closest to you? Someone you love. Someone you trust. But watch what character does. And that's why your perception and your perspective is so important. And you have to know your character. Don't get caught in what other people think about you. Know who and what you are. Know whose you are. Know what makes you what you are. And when people come at you with this stuff that don't make good nonsense, your character is going to override the stuff that doesn't make sense. Watch what Job says. Verse 10. He replied, you're talking like a foolish woman. Should we accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he says. God is telling you and I, be confident in me. God is telling you and I, if I have started a good work in you, I will carry it to completion. That's Philippians 1 and 6. I will carry it to completion. Amen. God is telling you and I, be confident in this, that if I begin a work in you, I will carry it through its completion. God has a destiny for you. God has a destiny for me. Anything in your life that causes you to quit before you fulfill your God-designed destiny is a quit sign that's telling you to give up, But God will never quit on you. Please do not quit on him, because Jesus loves you, and so do we. May the peace of God be with you in all that you do. We encourage you to practice social distancing, to wear your mask in public. God tells us to be diligent in all things that we do. Don't be deceived. The government will not protect you. Corporations will not protect you. Only God can protect you, and you have to be diligent and do those things that God has ordained people to give you to practice. May the peace of God be with you. We enjoy being with you today. Do you receive that message?
You have been listening to Pastor Donald R. Jones of Bethesda Household of Prayer. We hope the word was nourishing to your soul and gave you a better understanding of God's love and grace. We want to encourage you to get into a Bible-based teaching church. And if you are in the New Orleans area, visit us at 7601 Westbank Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana. Thanks to you and your financial support, thousands have heard today's message. If you'd like to receive a copy of today's message, we can be reached at 504-348-0132. We are Bethesda Household of Prayer. Jesus loves you, and so do we. Join us next time, and be blessed.